toothbrushes. How our ancestors actually cleaned their mouths.
Do ancient humans really clean their mouths? Think about it. No toothbrush, no toothpaste, no mouthwash.
It is 3 a.m. Do you know where your toothbrush is?
Not even a bathroom sink. So what do they do every morning? Did they just ignore their teeth and hope for the best? Or have we been looking at ancient humans the wrong way this whole time? Here's something most people never stop to think about. If you were suddenly dropped into the Stone Age today, how would you clean your mouth tomorrow morning? Your fingers? The stick? Just water? Most of us wouldn't even know where to start.
It looks like a normal artifact, but something about it is definitely off. Why are there toothbrushes everywhere? This makes no sense at all. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
But our ancestors didn't have a choice. They woke up every single day in a world without the things we call essential. Somehow they ate, smiled, talked, and lived for decades. So what was their secret? The answer isn't as simple as chewing on a random stick. In fact, some of the habits ancient humans developed sound strange today, while others might make you question whether modern dental care is the only way to keep a healthy mouth. By the end of this video, you'll discover what ancient humans really used, which habits actually worked, which ones were surprisingly dangerous, and why the story is far more interesting than most history books ever tell. So let's go back. Long before toothbrushes, long before toothpaste, and long before civilization, to uncover how our ancestors really kept their mouths clean. So, where did this whole story actually begin? To answer that, we have to forget everything we think we know about brushing our teeth. Today, cleaning your mouth is almost automatic.
Forget toothbrushes, clean their mouths. Long before nylon bristles, people used some clever tools, like linen cloths, bronze scrapers, and even salt crystals.
But now rewind the clock. Not 100 years, not 1,000 years. Go back tens of thousands of years, to a time before cities, before farms, before metal tools, and before anyone had ever heard the word toothbrush. Picture a small group of ancient humans waking up just before sunrise. The air is cold. There's no house, no bathroom, no sink waiting for them. Breakfast isn't sitting on a table. Every single meal has to be found, hunted, or gathered. Every day starts with one question. Can we survive today? When survival is your biggest problem, brushing your teeth probably sounds like the last thing on your mind. Or does it? Because here's something most people never think about. Your mouth isn't just where food goes. It's where your survival begins. If your teeth hurt so badly that you can't chew, eating becomes painful. If your gums become infected, your whole body can become weaker. If your mouth is full of sores, every bite feels like torture. In a world without hospitals or medicine, even a small infection could turn into a very big problem. Ancient humans didn't know anything about bacteria. They didn't know what plaque was. They had never heard words like enamel, fluoride, or cavities. But they didn't need those words to understand something simple. A painful mouth could make life miserable. And when life already meant fighting cold weather, dangerous animals, and constant hunger, nobody wanted another problem to deal with. That meant one thing. Even if they didn't have toothbrushes, they still had reasons to take care of their mouths. But how? That's where things start getting interesting. Because unlike today, there wasn't one solution. There wasn't a grocery store selling 10 different kinds of toothpaste. There wasn't an electric toothbrush with different cleaning modes. Every group of ancient humans had to figure things out using whatever nature placed around them. And nature turned out to be surprisingly helpful. Some discovered certain tree branches that slowly turned into natural brushes when chewed. Others preferred rough plant fibers. Some simply rubbed their teeth with their fingers. Others rinsed their mouths over and over with clean water after eating. It sounds incredibly simple, maybe even too simple. But remember, these people weren't trying to make their teeth look perfectly white. They were trying to keep eating. That's a completely different goal. Think about your own teeth for a second. Have you ever eaten popcorn and had a tiny piece get stuck between them? It drives you crazy. You keep poking at it with your tongue until it's gone. Now imagine living your entire life without floss, without toothpicks, without mirrors, without even knowing exactly what's stuck in your mouth. Would you just ignore it? Probably not. Humans are naturally curious. When something feels uncomfortable, we instinctively try to fix it. Ancient humans were no different. If something got stuck in their teeth, they experimented. A thin twig, A sharp blade of grass. A tiny bone. Whatever worked. Not because someone taught them, because discomfort teaches everyone. And that's one of the biggest mistakes people make when thinking about ancient humans. We often imagine they simply accepted pain. That couldn't be further from the truth. Ancient humans were incredible problem solvers. Every single day, they invented tiny solutions to problems we don't even notice anymore. How do you carry water? How do you stay warm? How do you start a fire? How do you remove a splinter? How do you stop bleeding? And yes, how do you get food out from between your teeth? Those little solutions slowly became habits. Those habits became traditions. And over thousands of years, different groups developed completely different ways of caring for their mouths. Some of those methods actually worked surprisingly well. Others, not so much. In fact, one ancient habit might make your dentist panic if people tried it today. We'll get to that later. But before we can understand what ancient humans used to clean their mouths, we need to answer another question. If they weren't brushing every morning like we do, why weren't all their teeth rotting away? Because according to modern thinking, that should have happened, right? Or have we misunderstood the real cause of tooth decay all along? That's where this story takes a turn that almost nobody expects. Here's a question that almost nobody asks. If brushing your teeth is supposed to prevent cavities, then why do people who brush twice a day still end up sitting in a dentist chair? Think about that for a second. Millions of people brush every single morning. They floss. They rinse with mouthwash. They even buy expensive whitening toothpaste. And yet, cavities are still one of the most common health problems on Earth. So maybe the real enemy isn't simply a dirty mouth. Maybe it's something else. Now let's go back to the world of ancient humans. Forget everything you've seen in movies. Most prehistoric people weren't constantly eating giant pieces of roasted meat. Their meals changed with the seasons. Some days they found berries. Some days they dug up roots. Other days they collected nuts, seeds, mushrooms, or wild fruits. If they were lucky, they hunted an animal. If they weren't, they ate whatever nature gave them. That means something very important. They weren't eating cookies. They weren't drinking soda. There was no candy, no chocolate bars, no donuts, no energy drinks, no cereal packed with sugar. In fact, the biggest source of sugar in an ancient human's life might have been a handful of wild berries that only grew for a short time each year. Compare that to today. Many people drink more sugar before lunch than an ancient family might have eaten in several days. Without realizing it, our mouths have become an all-you-can-eat buffet for bacteria. Every time we eat something sweet, tiny bacteria inside our mouths throw a feast. As they digest that sugar, they release acids. Those acids slowly wear away the hard outer layer of the tooth. Not instantly, not overnight. Little by little, day after day, year after year. Eventually, a tiny weak spot appears. Then a hole. Then pain. Then a cavity. Ancient humans didn't understand chemistry. They didn't know anything about acids. But because they ate far less processed sugar than we do today, their mouths often faced a completely different environment. That doesn't mean their teeth were perfect. Far from it. Their teeth had another problem. A very different problem. Imagine chewing hard nuts with your bare teeth. Imagine biting into roots filled with tiny grains of sand. Imagine eating food that accidentally picked up dust from the ground. Now do that every day for decades. Instead of getting lots of cavities, their teeth slowly wore down. Not because they were weak, because they worked incredibly hard. If you could compare an ancient person's teeth with modern teeth, you'd probably notice something surprising. Their teeth often look flatter, almost like someone had gently filed them down. At first glance, that might seem terrible. But for many ancient people, worn teeth were simply a sign of a lifetime of eating tough foods. It was normal. In fact, a perfectly smooth set of modern teeth might have looked strange to them. Here's something funny. Today, people pay thousands of dollars to straighten, whiten, polish, and reshape their smiles. Ancient humans didn't care what their teeth looked like. They cared whether they could bite into dinner. Beauty wasn't the goal. Survival was. That simple difference changed everything. Because when your only goal is to keep eating, long before anyone invented a toothbrush, ancient humans were already using the oldest cleaning tool ever made. Their own hands. It sounds almost too simple. But when something feels stuck in your mouth, your fingers are always right there. No tools, no instructions, no technology, just instinct. For thousands of years, that may have been enough. Until one day, someone noticed something strange. Imagine you're sitting beside a fire after dinner. You've been chewing on a small branch while talking to the people around you. Not because you're cleaning your teeth, just because there's nothing else to do. After a while, you look down. The end of the branch has changed. Instead of being hard, it's soft. Tiny fibers are sticking out in every direction, almost like a brush. Now imagine running those soft fibers across your teeth. It feels rough, but strangely satisfying. Food starts coming loose. Your mouth suddenly feels cleaner. You didn't invent a toothbrush. You accidentally discovered one. And that's one of the coolest things about ancient humans. Many of their greatest discoveries probably weren't planned. They happened by accident. Fire, cooking, stone tools. Even simple things like using plant fibers to clean the mouth may have started with curiosity instead of science. Hey, that actually works. Sometimes, that's all it takes to change history. Over time, people began choosing certain branches again and again. Not every tree worked. Some were too hard. Some broke apart. Some tasted terrible. But others, they were almost perfect. The ends separated into hundreds of tiny fibers. Strong enough to scrub. Soft enough not to hurt. Without realizing it, ancient humans had created nature's version of a toothbrush. And here's something funny. If someone from the Stone Age walked into your bathroom today, they probably wouldn't understand why you spent money buying something that trees were already making for free. But the branch wasn't the only surprise. Some people preferred chewing roots instead. Others stripped bark into thin fibers. Some even used soft grass. Every environment forced people to become creative. Living near a forest, your toothbrush looked different. Living near a desert, you had to improvise. Living in cold mountains, you used whatever nature allowed. There was never one universal solution. There couldn't be, because ancient humans didn't all live the same way. Different lands created different habits. Different habits created different traditions. But every tradition had one goal: keep the mouth working. Because without healthy teeth, nothing else mattered. You couldn't chew. You couldn't enjoy food. You couldn't get enough nutrition. And little by little, your body became weaker. That's why taking care of the mouth wasn't really about appearance. It was about survival. But here's where things get weird. Some ancient people weren't satisfied with simply cleaning their teeth. They started cleaning their breath. Think about that. Thousands of years before chewing gum, people were already trying to make their mouths smell better. Why? Who were they trying to impress? The answer has almost nothing to do with romance, and everything to do with survival. And once you understand why, you'll never think about bad breath the same way again. This is much closer to the pacing of channels like HOLG, Fern, Magnates Media, or James Yanni. Simple language, short paragraphs, curiosity loops, and smooth transitions instead of sounding like a textbook. I also recommend one important change for the entire script. Don't use exact years or dates unless they're essential. Saying around 10,000 years ago is usually more natural than interrupting the story with precise dates, unless a specific discovery or event makes the date important. Let's be honest. If ancient humans didn't have toothpaste, didn't everyone have horrible breath? That's probably what you're thinking. And honestly, it sounds like a fair question. After all, today, people carry gum in their pockets. Breath spray, mints, mouthwash. Some people won't even talk to someone until they've brushed their teeth. So imagine living thousands of years ago. No mint, no gum, no toothpaste. Wouldn't everyone's breath be unbearable? Well, not exactly. Because bad breath isn't always caused by not brushing. In fact, you've probably experienced this yourself. Ever skipped breakfast, and suddenly your breath smelled awful? Your teeth didn't magically get dirty overnight. Something else happened. The same thing happened to ancient humans. Sometimes your breath changes because of what you eat. Sometimes because your mouth is dry. Sometimes because food gets trapped between your teeth. And sometimes, the smell isn't coming from your teeth at all. It's coming from your stomach. Ancient humans didn't know any of this. But they noticed something. Certain plants left their mouths feeling fresher. Some leaves had a cool taste. Some roots had a spicy flavor. Others left behind a clean feeling that lasted for hours. Nobody told them why. They simply remembered what worked. Think about it. If every time you chewed a certain leaf, your mouth felt better, wouldn't you chew it again tomorrow? Of course you would. That's how knowledge spread long before books existed. Nobody wrote instructions. Nobody uploaded videos. Parents showed their children. Children grew up. Then they taught their own families. Generation after generation. Simple habits survived. Some disappeared forever. Others lasted thousands of years. Even today, in some parts of the world, people still chew natural twigs and plants to clean their teeth instead of using modern toothbrushes. Not because they can't buy one, because it's part of their tradition. And in many cases, it still works surprisingly well. Kind of makes you wonder, how many useful habits have we abandoned simply because something newer came along? But before you start thinking ancient humans had perfect mouths, let's slow down. Life back then wasn't easy. There were no dentists, no painkillers, no emergency appointments. If a tooth started hurting, there wasn't much anyone could do. Imagine the worst toothache you've ever had. Now imagine feeling that pain every single day. No medicine, no clinic, no quick fix, just pain. And here's the scary part. A small tooth problem could become much bigger. An infection inside the mouth could spread. Swelling could make eating impossible. Even drinking water became painful. Today, most of us complain when a dentist says, "You have one tiny cavity." Ancient humans would have considered that lucky, because they knew things could get much worse. That's why people started paying attention to anything that kept their mouths comfortable. Even if they didn't understand the science, they understood the results. If something reduced pain, they remembered it. If something made chewing easier, they kept doing it. That's human nature. We don't need to understand everything. Sometimes, we just remember what works. And that simple idea has shaped thousands of years of human history. But here's where this story takes another unexpected turn. Ancient humans weren't just cleaning their teeth. Without realizing it, every single meal they ate was cleaning them too. And that's something almost nobody talks about. Because the food itself was doing part of the job. Here's something that sounds completely backwards. What if one of the biggest reasons ancient humans had healthier mouths wasn't because of what they used, but because of what they ate? Think about your lunch today. Maybe it was bread, maybe a burger, maybe chips, maybe something sweet. Most modern food is soft. You barely have to chew it. Sometimes you can finish an entire meal without your jaw doing much work at all. Now compare that to an ancient human. Nothing came in a wrapper. Nothing was pre-cut. Nothing was soft because a factory made it that way. If they wanted to eat, they had to work for every single bite. Tough roots, crunchy nuts, wild fruits, fibrous plants, chewing meat. Every meal was a workout. Their jaws moved constantly. Their teeth rubbed against food that naturally scraped away bits of debris. It wasn't like using a toothbrush, but it wasn't doing nothing either. Now, don't get the wrong idea. Eating hard food didn't magically clean every tooth. Food still got stuck. Problems still happened. But their mouths lived in a completely different environment than ours. Today, a piece of candy melts in seconds. Sugar coats every corner of your mouth. Then comes a soft drink. Then another snack. Then dessert. Your teeth hardly get a break. Imagine tiny bacteria sitting on your teeth all day long. Every time you eat sugar, you're serving them another meal. Breakfast, snack, lunch, coffee, cookie, soda, candy. Late night ice cream. For those bacteria, it's like living in an all-you-can-eat restaurant that never closes. Ancient humans didn't feed those bacteria the same way. Their meals were simpler. Long gaps often passed before they ate again. Sometimes they had plenty of food. Sometimes they had almost none. Their mouths weren't being covered in sugar every couple of hours. That doesn't mean life was healthier. It just means it was different. Very different. And here's something you might never have noticed. Watch someone eat a carrot. Listen carefully. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Now watch someone drink a milkshake. Done in 30 seconds. One meal forces your mouth to work. The other barely asks your teeth to do anything. Our ancestors spent hours every day chewing. Not because they wanted stronger jaws, because they had no choice. Scientists today know that chewing stimulates saliva. And saliva is one of the greatest natural defenses your mouth has. It helps wash away leftover food. It helps keep your mouth from drying out. It even helps protect your teeth in ways most people never think about. Ancient humans didn't know any of that. They simply lived in a way that kept their mouths active. Ironically, modern life made everything easier. Food became softer. Meals became faster. But our mouths never evolved for that sudden change. We've upgraded our kitchens. We've upgraded our restaurants. We've upgraded our grocery stores. But the human mouth is still basically the same one our ancestors carried thousands of years ago. And maybe that's why so many people struggle with dental problems today. Not because we're brushing wrong, but because our daily lives are completely different from the lives our mouths were built for. Now here's a question. If chewing tough food helped ancient humans, why don't dentists simply tell everyone to stop eating soft food? Because the answer isn't that simple. Some ancient habits helped. Others caused completely different problems. In fact, one habit slowly wore their teeth down so much that by old age, some people could barely chew at all. The very thing that protected them eventually became one of their biggest challenges. And once you find out what caused it, you'll realize ancient life always came with a price. Now here's the twist nobody talks about. Ancient humans didn't lose the battle against cavities. They fought a completely different battle, where, imagine taking a piece of sandpaper and rubbing it across a block of wood every single day. Nothing dramatic happens on the first day, or the second, or even the 100th. But keep going for years, and slowly, the surface begins to disappear. That's almost exactly what happened to many ancient teeth. The strange part? It wasn't because they were chewing rocks. It was because tiny bits of grit found their way into almost everything they ate. Picture this. You've spent hours digging up roots from the ground. No running water. No kitchen sink. No fancy brushes to wash them perfectly clean, even after shaking off the dirt. Tiny grains of sand are still clinging to the food. You take a bite. Crunch. Not because the root is hard, but because there's a tiny piece of earth still attached. Tomorrow, the same thing happens. The next day, again. Next week, again. Year after year, your teeth are doing more than chewing food. They're grinding against tiny pieces of the earth itself. It's so gradual that you wouldn't even notice. Until one day, the sharp points on your teeth begin to disappear. The edges become flatter, then flatter, then smoother. Imagine looking into a mirror and realizing your teeth don't have points anymore. Will that scare you? For us, probably. For ancient humans, it was just another sign of getting older. But dirt wasn't the only reason. Think about how ancient people prepared food. Long before supermarkets, people crushed seeds, ground grains, pounded roots. Everything was done using stone tools. Now imagine rubbing two rough stones together every day for years. Tiny stone particles slowly break away. They're almost impossible to see, but they end up mixed into the food. Every bite becomes just a little rougher. Not enough to notice, enough to matter. Little by little, their meals acted like extremely fine sandpaper. Not because anyone wanted them to, because there was no other option. Here's something interesting. If you met an ancient hunter in his 20s, his teeth might look surprisingly strong. Meet the same person 40 years later, and you'd probably notice a huge difference. Not because they never cleaned them, because they'd spent decades chewing some of the toughest meals imaginable. Every bite left a tiny mark. Thousands of bites became millions. Millions became a lifetime. The mouth remembers every meal. Even today, dentists can often tell how someone used their teeth just by looking at the patterns of wear. It's almost like your teeth keep a diary, without writing a single word. Now here's the crazy part. Ancient humans didn't just use their teeth for eating. Sometimes, their teeth became tools. Yes, actual tools. Imagine trying to make a rope. You pull plant fibers tight between your teeth while your hands twist them together. Imagine softening animal skin to make clothing. Your teeth help hold everything in place. Need both hands free? Your mouth becomes a third hand. Over time, those extra jobs left tiny marks on the teeth. Not because something was wrong, because life demanded it. Today, if someone used their teeth to cut string every single day, a dentist would probably tell them to stop. For ancient humans, that was completely normal. Their mouths weren't just for eating. They were part of their toolbox. Think about that. Your phone has replaced a flashlight, a map, a camera, a calculator. One object, many jobs. Ancient teeth worked the same way. One part of the body, many purposes. Chewing, holding, pulling, tearing, gripping, every single day. And after years of doing all that, the evidence stayed written across their smiles. But here's a mystery that's even stranger. Some ancient people reached old age with teeth that looked surprisingly healthy, while others lost teeth much earlier. They lived in the same time period, sometimes even in the same region. So why were their mouths so different? The answer wasn't luck. It was something much simpler, and it changed depending on where they lived. Because when nature changes, people change too. And that's exactly where our story goes next. Imagine two ancient humans. One lives in a thick forest surrounded by giant trees, fresh streams, and endless plants. The other lives on a dry, rocky plain where almost nothing grows except tough bushes and scattered grass. Now ask yourself, would they clean their mouths the same way? Probably not. Ancient humans didn't have a universal routine. There wasn't a right way to clean your mouth. There was only one rule. Use whatever nature gives you. If you grew up near a river, maybe you rinsed your mouth every chance you got. If your home was surrounded by trees, maybe you found that chewing on certain twigs made your mouth feel cleaner. If you lived where plants were rare, you had to become even more creative. That's one of the coolest things about ancient humans. They didn't wait for someone to invent a solution. They created one. Not because they wanted to, because survival forced them to. Think about it. When you buy a toothbrush today, every single one looks almost the same. Plastic handle, soft bristles, maybe a different color. That's it. Ancient humans had no factory making the same tool for everyone. Every forest, every mountain, every desert, offers something different. And somehow, people learned to recognize which plants felt good in their mouths and which ones didn't. Some branches became soft after chewing. Others stayed stiff and scratched the gums. Some had a fresh taste. Others were so bitter that nobody wanted to use them twice. Imagine discovering all of that through trial and error. No internet, no books, no instructions, just curiosity. Maybe one person chewed on a branch while walking. Maybe another copied them. A child watched an older family member do it. Years later, that child taught their own children. And just like that, a simple habit survived for generations. Not because someone wrote it down, because it worked. That's how ancient knowledge traveled. Not on paper, through people. It's easy to forget how powerful that is. Today, if your phone dies, you can still search the internet on another device. Ancient humans didn't have backups. If knowledge wasn't shared, it disappeared forever. That's why even the smallest habits mattered. How to start a fire, how to find clean water, how to avoid poisonous plants, and yes, how to take care of your mouth. One mistake could mean pain for days. So every useful trick became valuable. But here's something even stranger. Ancient humans weren't obsessed with having perfect smiles. Nobody cared if their teeth were bright white. There were no selfies, no school photos, no job interviews. Nobody judged you because your teeth weren't perfectly straight. So why bother cleaning them at all? Because this was never about appearance. It was about comfort. A clean mouth feels better than a dirty one. Food trapped between your teeth is annoying. Dry mouths feel uncomfortable. Sore gums make eating painful. Those feelings haven't changed in thousands of years. Your brain reacts to them exactly the same way an ancient human's brain did. That's one of the most fascinating parts of this story. Even though the world around us has completely changed, our mouths haven't changed very much at all. The same teeth you brushed this morning follow the exact same basic design that helped your ancestors survive long before cities existed. Which means, the mouth you're carrying today is ancient. It's a reminder that modern humans aren't as different from ancient humans as we'd like to believe. We wore different clothes. We used different tools. We live in different houses. But underneath all of that, we're still working with the same mouth nature gave our ancestors. And that raises another question. If our mouths haven't changed much, why do so many people today struggle with dental problems that seem far less common in ancient times? The answer isn't hiding in your toothbrush. It's hiding in something you probably eat every single day without even thinking about it. For thousands of years, ancient humans lived one way. Then, everything changed. Not overnight. Not because someone invented a toothbrush. Not because someone discovered toothpaste. Because humans made one decision that quietly changed almost every part of life. They stopped chasing food and started growing it. At first, that sounds like one of the greatest ideas in human history. No more wandering for days looking for your next meal. No more wondering if you'll find enough food before sunset. Instead, people began settling down. Villages appeared. Fields stretched across the land. Families stayed in one place. Life became more predictable. But every big change comes with a hidden cost. And this one was hiding inside people's mouths. Think about it. For most of human history, meals were unpredictable. Some days there was plenty. Other days there was almost nothing. Then farming arrived. Suddenly, certain foods became available almost every single day. Grains, bread, porridge. Later, even sweeter foods became easier to find. At first, nobody noticed anything unusual. Why would they? People were finally eating more consistently. That sounded like progress. But inside the mouth, something else was happening. Imagine you've invited a few guests over for dinner. They eat. They leave. Everything goes back to normal. Now imagine those same guests never leave. Every few hours, you bring them more food, then more again. Eventually, your house becomes crowded. That's exactly what started happening inside the human mouth. The tiny bacteria that had always lived there suddenly had far more opportunities to eat. Not because the bacteria had changed, because human diets had changed. And little by little, the balance inside the mouth began to shift. Ancient humans never woke up one morning saying, "Something feels different." The change was too slow. One generation lived a little differently. Their children lived differently again. Then their grandchildren. By the time hundreds of years had passed, the human mouth was facing problems it had rarely faced before. Isn't that strange? One invention helped humanity build civilizations, but it also created brand new challenges. It's almost like every step forward comes with something unexpected hiding behind it. And that's a pattern you'll notice throughout history. Fix one problem, create another. We invented cars. Now we deal with traffic. We invented phones. Now many people can't stop looking at them. We made food easier to get, and our mouths had to adapt to a completely different lifestyle. That's one reason this story is so fascinating. It isn't really about toothbrushes. It's about how humans change, and how our bodies struggle to keep up. Now here's something to think about. Imagine taking a modern person and placing them in an ancient forest. No grocery stores, no fast food, no candy, no soft drinks. How long would it take before their daily routine completely changed? Probably not very long. Their mouth would change too. Not overnight, but slowly, meal by meal, day by day, because your mouth responds to the world around it. It always has, and it probably always will. But before you start thinking ancient humans had everything figured out, there's one more myth we need to destroy. One of the biggest myths of all. The idea that ancient people never had toothpicks. That's simply not true. In fact, some of the things they did when a tooth started hurting might surprise you. And honestly, you probably wouldn't want to experience them yourself. Let's play a little game. Close your eyes for a second. Think about the worst toothache you've ever had. That sharp pain that doesn't let you sleep. The kind that makes cold water hurt. Hot coffee hurt. Even breathing through your mouth hurts. Now imagine feeling that same pain. But there's no dentist. No painkiller. No antibiotics. No emergency appointment tomorrow morning. What would you do? For ancient humans, this wasn't a scary thought. It was reality. If a tooth started hurting, they couldn't just get it fixed. They had to live with it, at least for a while. Think about how terrifying that must have been. You're already trying to survive wild animals. Cold winters, finding enough food, and now every bite feels like someone is stabbing your jaw. The pain wasn't just annoying. It could stop you from eating. And if you couldn't eat, your body became weaker. A weak hunter couldn't hunt. A weak gatherer couldn't travel. A weak parent couldn't protect their family. One painful tooth had the power to change everything. That's why people tried almost anything to make the pain stop. Sometimes they rinsed their mouths with cool water over and over. Not because they knew why it helped, because it simply felt better. Sometimes they chewed certain leaves. Some tasted bitter. Others left a numb feeling in the mouth. Imagine discovering that by accident. You chew a plant during a long walk. A few minutes later, the pain doesn't feel quite as bad. Coincidence? Maybe. But if it happened again, you'd remember that plant forever. That's how many ancient traditions began. Not with science, with observation. I tried this. It helped. So I'll do it again. Generation after generation. Those little discoveries became survival knowledge. Some actually worked. Others probably did nothing at all. But when you're desperate, even a tiny bit of relief feels like a miracle. Here's something most people never think about. Ancient humans were incredibly patient. Today, if your tooth hurts, you expect it to be fixed within days, sometimes within hours. Ancient humans didn't have that luxury. They learned to live with discomfort in ways most modern people can't even imagine. That doesn't mean they liked pain. It means they had no choice. And maybe that's one of the biggest differences between us and them. We've become used to instant solutions. Our ancestors became experts at adapting. But eventually, some teeth became impossible to save. And when that happened, the solution was as brutal as it sounds. The tooth had to come out. No comfortable chair. No bright dental light. No gentle numbing injection. Just determination. Imagine sitting beside a fire, surrounded by people trying to help, knowing exactly what's about to happen. There's no countdown. No machine making strange noises. Just a deep breath. And hope the pain ends soon. Thankfully, most people probably never reach that point. Because losing a tooth in the ancient world wasn't a small inconvenience. It changed how you ate, how you chewed, sometimes even how long you could survive. And that's why protecting your teeth mattered far more than most people realize. Not because they wanted a beautiful smile, because every tooth was valuable. Every single one. But here's the question that changes everything. If ancient humans cared so much about keeping their teeth, why didn't they invent toothbrushes thousands of years earlier? The answer has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with necessity. Think about the inventions you use every day. Your phone, your shoes, your refrigerator. None of those appeared because people were bored. They appeared because someone had a problem that needed solving. The same thing happened with the toothbrush. Ancient humans weren't waiting around hoping someone would invent plastic bristles. They already had solutions that worked well enough for the lives they lived. That's something modern people often forget. An invention only appears when the old solution stops being good enough. Imagine carrying water. If a clay pot works, why invent a metal bottle? If chewing on a fresh twig keeps your mouth comfortable, why spend years trying to invent something completely different? To ancient humans, the answer was simple. They wouldn't. Their daily lives didn't demand it. The idea of brushing for exactly 2 minutes every morning would have sounded strange. Instead, cleaning the mouth happened naturally throughout the day. Chewing, rinsing, removing food with a finger or twig. It wasn't a scheduled routine. It was simply part of living. Kind of like wiping dirt off your hands after working outside. You don't always plan it. You just do it. That simple habit lasted for thousands of years. Long enough that nobody questioned it. But as human life changed, so did human problems. Villages became cities. Cities became kingdoms. Food became softer. Sugar became more common. Meals became more frequent. And suddenly, the old methods weren't always enough anymore. That's when people slowly began searching for better ways to clean their mouths. Not because ancient humans were wrong, because the world around them had changed. And that's a lesson history teaches us over and over again. The tools we use don't just depend on our intelligence. They depend on the world we live in. A Stone Age solution worked perfectly. In the Stone Age, a modern solution works better. In the modern world, neither one is completely right. Neither one is completely wrong. They're simply answers to different problems. And that's the biggest surprise of this entire story. Ancient humans weren't dirty. They weren't careless. They weren't walking around ignoring their mouths. They simply lived in a world where nature provided different answers than the ones we rely on today. And maybe, just maybe, there's something worth learning from that. Let's clear something up. There's one picture that movies love to show us. An ancient human with messy hair, a dirty face, animal skin hanging over one shoulder, and teeth so disgusting that nobody would want to stand next to them. We've seen that image so many times. Most of us believe it without even thinking. But here's the problem. Being covered in mud doesn't automatically mean someone is unhygienic. Think about a construction worker. By the end of the day, they're covered in dust. A farmer finishes work with dirt on their boots. A mechanic has grease on their hands. Does that mean they don't wash? Of course not. They're dirty because of their job. Ancient humans lived outside. Every single day, rain, snow, mud, smoke from campfires, dust from walking for miles. Their appearance reflected their environment, not their habits. That's a huge difference. And maybe we've been judging them unfairly all this time. Because when people hear the words Stone Age, they automatically think primitive, dirty, uncivilized. But surviving in nature actually requires paying attention to your body. Imagine walking for miles with something stuck between your teeth. It would drive you crazy. Imagine having sore gums while trying to chew dried meat. Every meal becomes frustrating. Those small problems don't disappear just because you're living in the wild. If anything, they become even more important. That's why ancient humans paid attention to comfort. Not because someone told them to, because their own bodies told them to. Pain is a teacher. Discomfort is a teacher. You don't need a dentist to know when something feels wrong. Your body tells you. And humans have always listened. Let's travel back one last time. The sun hasn't risen yet. The air is cold. A small fire from last night is barely glowing. One by one, people begin waking up. Nobody reaches for a phone. Nobody checks messages. Nobody walks into a bathroom. Instead, the first sounds of the morning are birds, crackling wood, and footsteps moving across the ground. Someone walks toward the nearby stream. They splash cool water onto their face. Then they rinse their mouth. Another person picks up a small branch they've used before. The end is already soft from yesterday. They chew it for a moment, then gently rub it across their teeth. A child watches. Curious, they copy the same movement. Nobody says, "This is the correct dental routine." Nobody explains plaque. Nobody mentions bacteria. It's simply something they've always done. A habit passed from one generation to the next. Without books, without schools, without advertisements telling them which toothbrush to buy, just observation, just experience. That's how knowledge survived for thousands of years. Not because it was written down, because people lived it every single day. Modern life gave us incredible things. Electric toothbrushes, fluoride toothpaste, dental clinics, pain medicine, x-rays, braces, things ancient humans could never have imagined. But somewhere along the way, we also became disconnected from something. Our relationship with food, our relationship with nature, even our relationship with our own bodies. Think about how often you eat without even noticing. Driving, watching TV, scrolling your phone, working. Meals became background noise. For ancient humans, every meal demanded attention. Finding it, preparing it, chewing it. Nothing was automatic. Nothing was wasted. Even the simple act of eating exercised their jaws in ways most of us never experience anymore. Their world was harder, much harder, but it forced the human body to do exactly what it had evolved to do. Today, life is easier than ever, yet dental problems are everywhere. Maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe it's a reminder. Our technology changed faster than our bodies ever could. So, did ancient humans clean their mouths? Yes, just not the way we do. They didn't squeeze toothpaste onto colorful plastic brushes. They didn't stand in front of mirrors for 2 minutes every morning. Instead, they adapted. They experimented. They learned from nature. They solved problems using whatever was around them. Some of those ideas disappeared forever. Others survived for thousands of years. And a few are still being used today. Maybe the biggest lesson isn't that ancient humans had better teeth, or worse teeth. It's that they understood something we've almost forgotten. Taking care of your mouth isn't about buying the most expensive toothbrush. It starts with the choices you make every single day. The food you eat, the habits you build, the little things you repeat without thinking. Because your teeth tell a story, not just about how often you brush, but about the life you live, thousands of years from now. If someone could look at your teeth, what story would they tell? Would they see a life built on convenience, on habits, on choices? Or would they discover something that future generations never expected? Maybe, just maybe, the greatest mystery wasn't how ancient humans cleaned their mouths. The real mystery is whether we've forgotten something they understood all along. So the next time you pick up your toothbrush tomorrow morning, stop for just 1 second. And remember, long before toothpaste, long before dentists, and long before civilization, humans were already finding ways to protect one of the most important tools they would ever own. Their smile.